曾经呢在高中的时候呢，其实进的是 TOPS。我想这里边有很多的家长对这个 TOPS 的可能有很大的兴趣，但是大家不知道呢如何上 TOPS 这种高中，还有以后你怎么上大学，到底有什么样的关联？而且呢，就是在这个过程中呢，可能会遇到的一些挑战，或者呢是一些困境。所以呢，这个时候呢，我们非常感谢呢，萨莉呢可以跟我们大家分享。在这里面呢，我们也知道呢，她是一个非常刻苦的一个孩子。我为什么这么讲呢？因为其实我很早就认识这个女孩，她呢就是说上大学期间呢一直在半工半读的读书，而且还能得到学校的奖学金，学习成绩非常优秀。不光是这样，而且她是一个非常懂，因为下边还有2个弟弟，所以对家里呢非常照顾。我觉得其实我们很多的孩子呢，上大学不是唯一的目标，而是呢最终呢要成为一个什么样的人，就是说能够呢在大学学习，又能够成为一个就是能够照顾别人、能够关爱别人的人。我觉得这些呢是我们非常想讨论的话题。而且呢，因为这个女孩子她想从事的是关于运动医学，这个学科呢是非常冷门的一门学科，因为它是相当于呢考医学院呢是千人过独木桥，是非常难进的。所以呢，她可以呢另辟蹊径，就是说我学运动医学，这样运动医学呢，它跟科学方面、跟医学方面都有一定的关系。但是呢，它同时又能从事呢跟医学相关的工作。我觉得这个呢，对我们很多的学生来讲呢，也是一个非常好的启发。那么呢，我现在把这个时间呢交给萨琳呢，让萨琳呢来跟大家呢进行就是说分享。当然了，大家可以呢在那个聊天呢提问问题，但是他先要把呢之前大家接龙的16个问题的回答清楚以后，然后呢才会回答大家在聊天里边写下的那个 message， 最好是用英文，因为呢我们也知道，就是说这边的孩子可能看中文看不太懂，他当然能听得懂。而且呢，我们也非常感谢今天的这个爱维教育呢，给我们提供的这个平台，就是让我们这个青少年呢有一个这个优秀的学生呢，在这里跟国内、跟美国和加拿大的这些家长和孩子呢来共同分享，来见证呢这一时刻。好的，萨莉呢，现在是你可以讲话。
Hello. So, my name is Selena, and I'm going into my 3rd year of kinesiology at Queen's University. So, in regards to the first question, what is the difference between top school and regular high school? Basically, top school, it's a lot more enriched. It's very difficult. In grade 10, we have to do a lot difficult math. So basically, in grade 10, we would have to cram in grade 11 and grade 12 material, but the tests that we have are really, really difficult. Like, even most universities don't, first year university math is like pretty easy compared to the stuff that they teach at top. So it's very enriched and very competitive. Every year, only about 60 people go in, and it's very challenging. And we learn a lot of new things that we otherwise wouldn't learn in regular high school. And we also get trips such as Algonquin Park and stuff like that, in which our understanding is a lot more complex in regards to math and science. So, why did I transfer from TOPS to regular high school? So, my main thing is that no matter which program you go into in high school, it's the grades that are the most important. So, even though TOPS is a lot more difficult to get in, and like you still have to have a really, really good grade. So, let's say, for example, if you're in TOPS and your grade is 85, 84, it's a lot more lower compared to people in regular high schools. And when you're applying to universities don't really care too much about the program. It's more about what your average is in grade 11 and grade 12. So if you go to a regular high school and you do really well, your average is 95, then you have a lot higher chance of getting into the program that you want to in university. But if in TOPS, even though the stuff we're learning is really hard, if you don't get above a certain grade like 90 or 95, then universities will still reject you because they won't even see your application. It's all filtered according to a certain grade that you have. And it's mostly grade 11 and grade 12 marks that are most important when you're applying to university. They don't really look at your grade 9 and grade 10 marks. So what I did was, like, I realized in grade 10 I was struggling a lot with the material, and no matter how hard I tried, I was still not really having the same grades as I used to. So I decided for grade 11 to transfer out because ultimately in university applications, the really most important thing is your final average. So number 3, how to apply for a scholarship at Queen's University. So for this one, when you're going into your first year, if you have a certain grade like above 90 or above 95, you get different monies automatically. Like they automatically charge you less for the first year. And after your first year, when you complete it and your grades are really great and you're going into second year, you go onto the Queen's University website and they list all the steps to apply for certain bursaries and scholarships. If you have financial needs and your family can't really afford to send you to university, then it's a great way. Like you just fill out all the personal details and they might ask you questions relating to like how you contribute to the community and stuff like that. And then you just send an application and depending on your financial needs, they will give you a scholarship. So for the 4th question, do high school grades affect university applications? Absolutely. It depends on your individual program, like which program do you want to go into, and there's a really great website that you can find. So basically what I do is I Google electronic info, and then one of the websites that pops up is Ontario University's info.ca. And when you go there, you can search for a program and then see how different universities have programs. And even if it's the same type of major, some universities might be slightly more strict regarding the grades. And in high school, I would say grade 9 and grade 10 marks don't count at all. Like universities do not look at your first 2 years of high school. It's mainly grade 11 and grade 12. So grade 11 marks are important if you want to get an early offer. If you want to apply to university and know within 1 or 2 months if you're going to get in. If your grade 11 marks are really great, then you get in early. But the main important grades are your grade 12 marks. So grade 12 is the final year of high school, and that is the main factor. So grade 12 marks, most important. Grade 11, important if you want to get into a program early. Grade 9 and grade 10 don't count. So number 5, why did you choose this major and what is your future employment direction? So I chose this major because I really wanted to go into occupational therapy. Like I enjoy the idea of working in a healthcare environment because when I was in high school, I volunteered at a healthcare center and I really enjoyed spending time with the patients. And just in terms of other majors, I felt like kinesiology is really broad and you can go into a wide range of different options, even if the plan that you originally had didn't really pan out. So right now, I'm kind of deciding on how to apply for occupational therapy, but I also are keeping my options open and I might even go into health policy or nursing. So how many offers did you get and why did you choose Queen's University? So I got 8 offers. I applied for social science at McMaster. I applied for kinesiology at Waterloo, Queen's, and U of T, public health at Waterloo and Ryerson. And I basically got 8 offers in total. The only one that I didn't get was McGill and kinesiology. So what are the main factors considered when choosing universities and majors? So I would say in terms of majors, what do you enjoy doing? Is there a good career path for this major? How easy would it be to find a job? And also for universities, the main thing is the environment of the university. Would you enjoy going to it? And also the cost is very important. Can you afford residence after your first year? Because lots of places, they have really limited spaces for residence. So your second to 4th year is gonna be, you find rentals. So how easy would it be to find a rental and would you be able to afford to live there for 4 years or more? And also like the competitiveness of the university. So how easy would it be to graduate compared, because I know in some universities it's a lot more cutthroat and it's a lot more competitive and it's really important to take that into consideration as well. So can I apply for graduate studies in this major? So most people pursuing this kinesiology major do want to go into graduate school. It's a really wide range. Some people after their Bachelor of Kinesiology, they want to try to go into medicine, medical school. Some people even decide to go into dentistry, and some people decide to go into law, but health-related stuff. And some people even try to get a master's of nursing. They go into physical therapy, occupational therapy. So it's a really wide range. And I would say most of the time, if you want to advance further with this degree, most people do not automatically go into their careers. They have to go into graduate school. And also some people might even go into teaching afterwards. So next question, how to complete part-time work and part-time study during school. So for me, I decided that working during the summer is really great. So for my first year, I decided to take a summer job and work 40 hours a week. And that was really great. But and also lots of students, they can juggle part-time work and part-time studies really well by applying to jobs at universities. So if you work in the residence desk, if you work in residences, there's great opportunities. And since the school knows that you are a student, then they will schedule according to the classes that you have. And it's a really great way to balance both study and working at the same time. So how does communication with high school counselors help apply to universities? So they can give you a lot of guidance if you're unsure about what major you want to go into. Like sometimes they'll make you fill out a very long quiz with many multiple choice questions to decide what type of job related or what type of jobs and what type of careers suit well for your personality. And they can look at all the different classes that you already take and what are you really good at, what are your strengths, and then they can talk with you, give you some advice. And I find that talking with someone else, with someone who specializes in high school students, is really great for helping you decide what your major is. So how to improve high school grades, any good suggestions for everyone? So I would say that if you have a group of friends to work things out, like let's say for certain courses that you might have difficulty with, science, math, when you're doing your homework and you're stuck on a problem, ask your friends like, what are the steps that you've taken to do it? And practicing things out loud might be really helpful. And when you're trying to memorize a concept, trying to explain it to someone else, and also really doing all of the homework that's assigned. Because in math class, I found lots of people struggled because they didn't really take the time to do their homework. But what I did was I made sure that I knew how to do all of my homework really well. And oftentimes that the tests that our math teacher gave were really, really similar to the homework problems. So definitely work in groups and do your homework all the time. And how to choose volunteer activities during high school. So I would say if you have an idea of what major you want to go into, do a volunteer opportunity that's related to that. Start early, start in grade 9, because basically Ontario has a law that you must have at least 100 hours of volunteer experience in order to graduate high school. So start early. And for me, since I was interested in going into healthcare, I decided to volunteer at a healthcare center. So just something that's related to the field of study you want to go into, and definitely search for opportunities that high school students can apply to. And during the epidemic, at home and online, what good advice do you have for high school students? How to manage yourself better? So I manage myself better by designating certain amount of time where I have to do schoolwork. So in a day, there's 24 hours and there's about 12 hours where you're awake. So I dedicate about half of it through the different courses that I'm taking. So for example, I had 4 courses for the summer. So I would be like from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., I'm only focusing on chemistry and chemistry review. And from 10 to 12, I focus only on nutrition and so on. And then schedule the time. This time is when I have lunch. This time is when I'm studying this subject. And then also give yourself a lot of time to rest, because if you try going too hard at it at first, you kind of demotivize yourself. But if you have at least some time for other hobbies, I find that really makes it easy to continue to maintain a good amount of study per week. Just always make sure that you're getting your study hours as well. So what is the elimination rate of this major, and is it possible to read it? So the elimination rate of this major, it really depends on what university you go to. Like for my university, we don't really release like actual statistics about how many people drop out for a program. But for my school, overall, for all the programs, about 89% graduate. So 89% get their diploma and 11% like don't attend this university. They might transfer out and stuff. I find in my personal experience, so in my first year, we have 160 students approximately entering. And right now, I know of about 2 or 3 people who are still at the university, but they changed to a different major because after their first year, they decided they want to pursue something else instead. But most people at my school for the program are still staying in and will probably graduate. Like I'm thinking that over 90% of people at this school do graduate from this program. So what are the similarities and differences between sport medicine and general medicine? How long is the school system? Is it a doctor or specialist after graduation? So for a kinesiology major, it's a 4-year bachelor degree, and basically in your final year, you apply for graduate school. And normally for physical therapy, occupational therapy, it's around 2 years. And I would say that the main difference is that it's a lot more specialized. So they focus mainly more on human movement and like how to treat people with injuries and that sort of stuff. So in kinesiology, so far the courses that we're taking are biomechanics and anatomy, which is very similar to medicine, and also physiology. So that relates to like how the body systems function. It's just a different type of medicine. It's more specialized towards movement. And there are many extracurricular activities and clubs in high school. Besides participating in interest, do you have any suggestions? Does it have a positive effect on teacher ratings? So I would say like any sort of extracurricular activities and clubs does have a really positive effect, because when you're applying to certain programs, the more competitive ones, they want you to write about like all the different volunteer opportunities that you did, like that's related to the program. And it's a great way to show that you're really well-rounded. You're not just about the marks if you include some club roles and stuff like that that are really related to your major. So besides participating in interest, my suggestion would be just do something that's really related to what you're trying to go into. Okay.
There is a question about, you can see, the people want to have more like information about the top school. Can you talk about the top school more? Because sometimes it's too fast to answer the question. Like the top school, what the big difference, like what the top school teach, what the value from the top school, and what the normal public high school. Can you talk?
Okay, so the main thing about TOPS program is that it's for really advanced students, so the curriculum is very difficult. In grade 10, in normal schools, you would only have like grade 10 math for grade 10 students, but in TOPS for grade 10, you really start going advanced. Like we learn about advanced functions and calculus in grade 10, and normally, like in normal school, you would only learn that starting in grade 12, so that's the main difference. But the thing is, like there's a course code for all the programs. So there's a course code for the classes, sorry. So in grade 10, there's MCR3U3, and that would be calculus. But the thing is, the content that we're learning is so much harder. It calls, like the name of the course is advanced functions, but the things that we're learning are far harder than normal advanced functions is. So you have to really do really well. So let's say if your marks in TOPS are above 90, above 95, then when universities like see your application, they'll see, oh, this person is from TOPS and TOPS is so hard and they have a 95 in TOPS. So if your grade is that good and you're from TOPS, then they're much, much more likely to admit you. But the thing is, if your marks in TOPS are really bad, like let's say if you get a 75 and 80 in TOPS, the schools that are looking through your applications, they won't even see your application because like the mark is still more important. So let's say if in TOPS you get an 85 average, but the program wants a 90 mark, they won't be able to see that you're from TOPS. So if you're in TOPS, you have to maintain at least a 90 grade, 95 grade. But then like if you do maintain such a high mark in TOPS, then you're really likely to get into the program that you want to get into. So for example, in the classmates that do go to TOPS, that graduated from TOPS, in a class of about 50 people, around over half like went to Waterloo for math, engineering, and some people went to medical sciences. And every year, at least one person get into Harvard. But I would say that for TOPS, like the main difference is you have to be really, really, really good at the marks. Like if you get a lower average than in grade 11 or grade 12, you should move back to regular school. So it's just the workload is much more intense. It's much more competitive. People there all really want to go into either math or science, whereas in regular high school, there's a wide range. Like in regular high school, plenty of people decide to just graduate high school. There's more people that go into colleges in regular high school, but in TOPS, everyone wants to get into university. But like lots of people, they do go back to regular school in grade 11 when they see that their marks aren't really good in TOPS for grade 9 and grade 10. They know it's time to get out because if they continue, then they might not even get into university.
Terry's question. Selena, do you see the
question? So I see the question, what is the value to be in top school? Thanks. So the main value is like, it's really challenging and you learn a lot of things that you wouldn't learn in regular high school. So if you're really smart and you're bored in regular high school, then top school does really challenge you. It's really rigorous, but it's not for everyone. But if you do really well in TOPS, then you have a really high chance of getting major scholarships and getting into the most competitive programs. So I personally did not enjoy my time in TOPS. I found that for me, regular high school worked much better, but for some people, TOPS is a really great place because you do make a lot of friends. People are really tight-knit as well. People really do want everyone to do well. So there's lots of good study groups. So that's really great as well. So out of all the schools you apply to, why did Queens stand out the most? So I thought Queens stood out really well for me because just the whole reputation of it seemed great. And also it's not really competitive. It's not really cutthroat. Like for some places in U of T, if you go into a really competitive program, everyone's always trying to beat everyone else. And for some programs like U of T, there's like automatic dropout rates. So even if you like get good grades and you pass everything, if your mark is like in the bottom 10 or 20%, they automatically kick you out of first year, even if you do really well. And also in U of T, there's down curving. So even if you earn a mark like 85, they might decide to make your mark even lower. So based on that factor, and I also decided that Queens stood out because the kinesiology program was really well. Like even though Waterloo has a great reputation, it's more focused on math, engineering. The kinesiology one isn't really specialized, so I took that into consideration as well. And also for a U of T kinesiology, it was mainly like most people want to become gym teachers or go on a different path in occupational therapy. So I decided that when I weighed in all those factors, I also visited Queens. I really like the whole environment, the fact that it's a smaller campus. You can easily get into like all the different buildings within 10 minutes. I like the walkability factor. I really liked the environment of Kingston and also the really pretty waterside. And I also noticed that they give scholarships really well. They give bursaries if your grades are really good. And just, it seems like a very welcoming place. And also everyone in kinesiology is also really supportive of each other. And there's a really wide range of different fields that people want to go into.
Okay, so we talk about the kinesiology and the medical school. There is you already talk about how it's different, right?
Yeah.
And I really want you also share about the profession that you said to the people. But I don't think some people they understand what the kinesiology will go to for the future, like occupational therapy. I got it. Also, chiropractor, right?
Yeah.
Or physiotherapist. So something like so. You said it's only 2 years, right? After bachelor degree, so you
Yeah.
go to the professional. So can you talk about a little bit about the 2 years program and what they will have the mostly focus on, like where they will go to the workforce? Because people, when they select their major, they also want to know where they will go, right, for the future career. Okay.
So basically, like the 2-year physical therapy, occupational therapy, it's really competitive. It's in for Ontario universities. That's what I researched specifically. Um, Basically, the whole application process, like they care about your marks and they also care about the volunteer stuff and there's interviews and stuff like that. And basically, after the 2 years of graduation, most people get their they get employment at a hospital. So there's lots of hospitals around Toronto and all over the place that need physical therapists, and physical therapists mainly help people who are recovering from an injury. So let's say someone had a really bad car accident and they lose movement of certain areas of their legs. So like people working in physical therapy and occupational therapy specialize with helping these people be able to move regularly again and really focus on that. So the patient would see this physical therapist or occupational therapist every week. And the difference between physical therapy and occupational therapy is that physical therapy is more about like the exercise part of it, while occupational therapy is about developing control so you're able to do tasks again, like you're able to grab a certain item or you're able to um, do these everyday things that you aren't able to do anymore after your injury.
So what about your like in the university, like you're already becoming third year student, right? From
Yeah.
the first year and the second year, what the most challenging things you face, and what do you really enjoy in the university?
Okay, so I would say like the most challenging thing about university is when you're living on your own, you get like there's a lot of adjustments that you have to make because in high school, like the teachers are always coming after you. Did you do your homework? And there's a lot more like individualized attention. But in university, it's totally different. In one class, there's maybe sometimes thousands of students, and you go into these big lecture halls with like over 200 people sitting in and stuff. So it's very different. Your professors won't really know you well, and you have to work harder to develop like stronger bonds with professors. If you want a reference later on, you have to really like go out of your way to take volunteer opportunities, and like you have to work harder to know your professors well. So that's what I found really challenging. And also, um, I guess weight management in university is very different because when you are in high school, you're at home, your parents control everything you eat. But then in university, with meal plan and stuff, you have to be able to be vigilant and not eat too much junk food. So for my first year of university, I found that really challenging. I gained a lot of weight in my first year, and it was only through intervention during um, the summer afterwards that I was able to lose all of it. So I would say that it's harder to be physically healthy because you're adjusting to a new environment. Um, Things are really tough and stuff, and sometimes you might not get your exercise in. And also, time management is more difficult than in high school because, like, you have to be able to do things on your own without anyone telling you you have to. Like in university, lots of people skip classes because um, basically none of your profs will take attendance and it, they won't really notice if you're not there. So you also have to like be motivated to go to class because it's might be really easy to get into peer pressure if you see like your friends are not going to classes. It's very tempting to also not go to classes, especially if no one notices.
So there is a question.
Okay, so which school would be the best to go for psychology? So what I would do is I would go onto the Ontario University's info.ca website and I would search for psychology, and there'll be a list of all the different psychology programs at different universities, and there's all these requirements such as what grade you would have to go into go into that program for that specific university. So most of the time, if the program wants you to have a really high average, then they're a lot more prestigious for that particular program. So for psychology, actually, it's a really wide major. It's one of the most popular majors to get into, and it's really, really broad. For my school, Queens, like we don't really have a specific psychology program to go into. Basically, what you do is you apply for arts and science, and you have to take all the psychology courses for first year. And if your first year grades aren't high enough, then they won't let you go into psychology degree. So that's the way it works out for my school, but every school is slightly different. I would say that psychology is probably one of the most popular degrees, and it might be more challenging to get a career in it if you just get a bachelor's. Most of the time, people who get a psychology degree, they also apply for graduate school. Okay, so can you share your career plan here with us if you don't mind? Thanks. So my career plan is, right now I'm looking to go into either occupational therapy or physical therapy. So I'm applying to schools that are just in Ontario, and like I'm gonna be researching more about the GPA requirements later on in my third year, and then I'll apply to all of them because they're all really competitive. But mainly, I guess my main focus would be, for now, my main career plan would just be to be able to get an occupational therapy degree or physical therapy degree and then work in a hospital later. But I might also consider going into nursing program as well as a safety option if none of the physical or occupational things work out. So what was one thing you wished you knew before going to university? So I would say one thing I wish I knew before going to university was I really should have attended my first year, the first week orientation, because for my program, we had a specific 1 week orientation where everyone gets to bond and we go to this big outdoor camp, and lots of people from their first year from their first week orientation for first year, they really made their friends and they are still friends today. But for me, I decided to skip out on the orientation. So I found it very difficult to make friends. And it was only until second year when I had one or two close friends that I can talk about the program with and help each other out.
Okay, there is from WeChat. Some people ask how you deal with this, like a classmates. I hear you just said in the university first year it's very hard to make friends, right? It's from second year. And how you are in TOPS and the normal high school, you make friends or you just focus on your GPA?
So in TOPS, I was really more focused on my GPA. Like I basically, when I was in grade 8, I could always just not even study hard and still get good grades. But in TOPS, it was different. And like, it was really, really hard. Like I was part of a Facebook group and everyone was really helpful and they always gave tips. Like everyone shared their study notes. So I found in TOPS, like I did have friends, but it was just the GPA thing was too hard. And in high school, I did make more friends and stuff like that. Like it was more of a good balance in high school. So for my university years, like first year was really hard to make friends because everyone had already bonded during orientation. And for my orientation, I decided to skip it. So it was through second year when there was slightly smaller classes where I met one or two people that I was close to.
Okay, so I think there is not too much for the like normal high school. You said if you want a high GPA, it's better go to the normal high school, like public high school, because the TOPS is really like hard to get a very high mark. But what the range? I heard like TOPS they may accepted 300 students and then left only 30 students. Is true?
So for TOPS, like I did the TOPS at Mark Garneau. There's a different TOPS at Bloor. I applied for both, but the one that I went to was at Mark Garneau. It was the first TOPS that was there. And for that program specifically, every year there's only about 60 people, like maybe sometimes slightly more than 60, maybe sometimes slightly less, but it's around 60. And by grade 11 or grade 12, there's about 50 people, 40 something people. So there are people that decide that TOPS isn't for them and they go back to their regular high school. I found for me personally, like TOPS was too hard, even if I really, really worked hard, but for other people it might be different.
So I think the people also ask you about volunteer in high school. Do you find the time to do the like a lot of volunteer work in high school time? And which year you started to do the volunteer, from grade 9 or grade 11?
So I started from grade 9, and what I did was like I searched online for student volunteer opportunities, and I did mine at a healthcare center. So what I did was I only volunteered on weekends. So we did the weekend rehabilitation program where some patients might want to like do bowling or like take them out for a nature walk, and that would be about 1 or 2 hours every week. So it's just mainly on weekends. So I would say that I started early in grade 9 because that way you can build up lots of hours. So I was able to get around 400 hours. But if you start in grade 11, then it's more challenging. Like grade 11 gets more stressful. So I would say that it's really good to start in grade 9 to like get as many volunteer hours as possible, get as much experience as possible. And in grade 11 and grade 12, you can like scale down on a volunteering, do a bit less of volunteering, because that's when the grades really start to count.
Okay, I heard that you said like the good thing is you started early for the volunteer. Why you choose nursing house? This is really like major yourself to aim for your future career since grade 9, or you find the path, like a career path later?
It's both. So like I already knew that I was interested in going to the hair like healthcare side of things, but also if you're not really sure about what you want to go into, like let's say that you're leaning towards something but you're not completely sure, it's always great to like volunteer for a bit, see how it's like in that environment, and decide whether or not it's like something that you're interested in pursuing. So it's both. So I was leaning towards the healthcare profession, and also I wanted to get a feel for if it's something that I want to do long term later on.
Okay, I think some people ask for the psychology also, because some people also did get the PhD psychology. Do you know about this, like from the bachelor degree to go to the PhD in psychology?
Oh, so I'm not doing anything related to psychology, but in general for psychology, people who get PhDs in psychology, they either like go into university work, like they try to find a job to teach students as a professor, or they might like go into clinical stuff, they might get into like psychology research, like be a professional scientist. I would say that psychology, like you have to really have a good idea of what career you want to be into, because lots of people, they get a bachelor in psychology because they're really not sure what they want to go into, because psychology is really broad. So if you want to go into psychology, you have to have in mind what specific career you want to be in, because plenty of people graduate from psychology and then they don't know what to do after their bachelor's. So I would say for a PhD, it's normally either you work in research or you be a professor, and those jobs are kind of rare to get.
Okay, so how about the psychotherapist? You know, there is a physiotherapist that we all know about the like movement, the physical, right? But I heard there also have the psychotherapist, is like work with the psychologist. Do you know what about the psychotherapist? Something related from your kinesiology that they can apply after graduate?
I'll search it up right now. So psychotherapy degree. It's also graduate degree, and according to U of T website and stuff, like they do require you to have a 4-year bachelor's degree before you apply. So that's also a type of graduate school.
Oh, so it's also 2 years, right?
Yeah, around 2 years.
So all the profession like a related medical healthcare profession, not like a medical doctor, is always like 2 years after like undergraduate, right? Mostly.
Most of the time, master's degrees are 2 years. And then I didn't really research PhD that much because I don't want to get a PhD, but PhD would be longer. It would be about like between 4 to 6 years.
Oh, so it's a very long time. But those like because you interested for the occupational therapist, you said this is like a master degree program, right?
Yes, master's, and it's 2 years most of the time.
So when you graduate from master degree, do you like aim for the licensing, or you just get a diploma, or you can practice? How is like could be?
I actually haven't really looked into that, but I would say like you would have to write like some sort of exam to say that like you know all of the main concepts before you start to actually get licensed and practice.
Oh, so it's not really you get just master degree. You can work as an occupational therapy, right? You should get some exam, right? Those
Yeah.
professions.
Yeah.
And there is, you said it's very like a competitive, like a very like a, so what's the ratio? Like how many people acceptance? Do you know like example?
It depends on the school, but some programs in Canada, it's like 10% or less than 10%. So some physical therapy programs are even more competitive than medical school. So it's always good to have a backup. Like if you don't get into occupational therapy, like you should also apply for other graduate stuff, such as masters in nursing or teaching related stuff. So some people after their kinesiology degree, they decide to like be a biology teacher in high school or a gym teacher. So always have a backup because like physical therapy and occupational therapy are really competitive and it's really hard to get in.
Oh, we saw that it's only the medical school is very hard because like 1%, we know like 1% acceptance. So this is like a not a really easy way and get an occupational therapy like 10%, right? As you said.
Yeah.
It's also not easy. So like a lot of people apply.
Yeah. So in the past, like around 10 years ago, like some people were able to just get a bachelor's degree and be in occupational therapy. But nowadays, like since everyone gets bachelor degrees, it's a lot more competitive. So they make it like you have to get a master's degree first.
Yeah, but we heard like also Queen University has Queen Medical School, right? They have several graduate school from Queen University. Can you talk about all the graduate school from Queen University?
No, well, I didn't. I'm still going into my 3rd year, and 4th year is really when you start to do all of your applications for that.
But they are in the same campus, right?
Yeah, same campus, and like there's all these different buildings, and like from one end to the other of the end, like it's about a 20-minute walk. So pretty much like everything is all jammed together. And there's a West Campus, but West Campus is like mainly for people who want to go into teaching, and like most of the courses are in that very small campus.
So how about I heard you said there is a graduate school from undergraduate school. Is it easy to apply from the same university? Or is like if you graduate from Queen University, you want to go to some graduate school, is better apply the same or you apply outside the university?
So for Queens, their program, they say that they don't really like take into where your undergraduate education is from. Like they also look to people from other schools, but I know for some schools like McMaster, for example, like most of the people who go into McMaster's physical therapy or occupational therapy are also from McMaster's. And same for Western, like for Western University, like most of the people that do get into their master's program also were there for their undergraduate, but every school is slightly different. So it's good to just apply for everything.
Okay, we got it. So I think for the coming the summer, because now it's all online, right? So for the 3rd year, do you have any plan? Like you want to work some way, or you want to study online, or you stay home? What are your plan? I heard that you have summer school now, right?
Yes. So right now, during the summer, I'm taking 4 courses, and they're all nutrition, chemistry, um, things relating to that. So 2 of my courses finished in late June, and I still have 2 more to go. And yeah, basically just for the summer, since like the pandemic and everything, it's not safe to work out in public. So I'm mostly just staying at home and like getting ahead in my academic career, because now's a good time to do that. And I would say that maybe I'm thinking about applying to like help at the residence desk at my school later on in the year, but not right now.
Oh, so the summertime you can also choose the fall majors, right? I mean the fall courses.
Yes,
Like,
you can choose as many courses as you want, but I didn't choose more than 4 because it's too much at once. Like summer courses go at a much faster pace than your normal year courses.
oh, so how many like the course load you should graduate from university have how many courses complete?
Okay, so we have like 3 credit courses and 6 credit courses. So 6 credit courses are for an entire academic year, and 3 credit courses are for 1 semester. We have 2 semesters in a year. So first semester is from September to December, and then there's another semester from about January to April. So for first year, you take so it's recommended that you take like up to 30 credits. So that's either 10 half-year courses or like 5 full-year courses. But sometimes it's a range. Most people, they take like you have to have 120 credits to graduate to get your degree. So every year would be like 10 half-year courses.
Oh, so it's like 10, right? You need to finish 10 courses every year.
Yeah.
3 semester, right? 3
Yeah.
semester.
So each half-year course is worth 3 credits. So you have to have 120 credits for graduation.
Oh, so it's about 40 courses then, right?
Yeah, for the entire 4-year time that you're there.
Okay, and how about I know the university, they have like a distinction, they have a first distinction, right, and honor. And how about the range in Queen's University student got, like a honor and a distinction?
So basically what we do at Queen's is we have a dean's list. So anyone with a certain like GPA above like 3.7 or something, they get it. And it's different for each year. So maybe like first year you struggle a bit and you don't get the distinction, but then like it's year by year, like it's updated then. So sometimes it's only like your final year when you get onto the dean's list. And yeah, I'm not sure like the specific number of people who get the distinction.
Oh, so they not public, they not like give the student how many, like 10% of the student get like the Dan award, they don't give, right?
They don't give.
Oh, okay, because in the high school they gave like how many, like 10%? This is they always give, not the university anymore. And how about, because you said you get some scholarship bursary, right? And how much, like how you can have this money in the first or second year?
So it's really dependent on your like personal circumstances. Like they make you fill out like what you're studying, and they ask you some questions and stuff. But it's also like based on your parents' salaries, and like they balance all of those, and they also balance if they think you're doing well or not, and then they decide based on that. So for my tuition, like it's about $6,000 a year for the tuition. And basically my first year I didn't pay anything because I had my entrance scholarship, and they thought that my first semester grades were really good, so I didn't have to pay for this like second part of the first year. So it really depends. Like everyone, they give a slightly different number. They don't broadcast it. And also sometimes they have like specific bursaries for different programs. So if you're in kinesiology, then someone might have like this bursary that is only for kinesiology students, and same for like all the other programs. So they don't hand you out a specific amount of money, but it's just you can see online if you have to pay tuition or not.
So most likely you only pay for the accommodation, right? Mostly like the tuition, you can get scholarship and a bursary. This is
Yeah.
right.
Like if your mark is good and like you're in a certain program and like you're in financial need and you applied for OSAP and all that stuff, then they will make it so that like your tuition's either really reduced or sometimes like you won't have to pay for the second semester. Like mostly these bursaries are like once you get into Queens and like there's deadlines, like always check online at the university website for when the deadline is. But yeah, normally for second semester, you can see whether or not they give you the bursary or not. So that's for Queens. I'm not sure how it works at other universities if they have that system.
But from your side, I think we understand that the Queens really have very good like completion of the university rate. That means the mostly student can be, graduate, right? 90%. But from the U of T and the McMaster and the Waterloo, we know there is lots of people opt out, like kicked out from their like programs. And the people also drop off. So what do you think, why the Queens can keep those, high rate for the graduate? What are their like advantage from other university?
I think like the advantage is that people are a lot more supportive and like I guess maybe the exams like might not be as hard. Like I've never been to the other universities, but what I found is like if I like do all of my work really well and I study, I can do well on the final exam. Like I know in some courses in other universities, your final exam is your entire mark. Like if you fail the exam, then you fail the course. But for Queens, like we have a lot more other assignments and for some courses, like exams are only worth 30%, 40%. So you have like lots of other chances to make your grade higher. Like you have more frequent homework and assignments before you do the exam. So that also really helps because if you're working on work related to the course, then you naturally spend more time on it. And that also makes it easier to have a higher mark for exam. But for some, I would say for some other schools, if all you ever do is one exam and that's it, it's really difficult to be motivated and then do really well on the exam at the end.
Yeah, I think it's not only the GPA, the matter from the Queens. I think it's better when you apply for the graduate school, your GPA in undergraduate should be very high. I mean, they will look after that, right? So it's maybe when you choose the university, as you said before, I heard that you said when you choose the Queens because they think they give very good like GPA for the student if you study well. So this is helpful for the graduate, right? School apply.
Yeah, also like to keep in mind when you're applying for graduate programs at Canada, like basically they don't look at your first year marks or your second year marks. It's only from third year and fourth year. So in first year and second year, if you don't really do as well, there's still time to recover. And like you can just mainly make sure that you really do well in your third year and fourth year. So it gives you a bit of time to get used to university life, like the whole pace and the lifestyle. And yeah, graduate programs, they only look at your third year and fourth year courses for the most part, whereas in America or in China might be different.
So I think, for the medical school, they always take the MCAT in the third year or fourth year. So for the master degree, do you need take any, not MCAT, something like exams to enter the master degree for the graduate school or not?
Oh, so when you're like applying to a master degree program, they don't look at that. It's basically they have an interview, they look at all the volunteer stuff that you do, and like they make you write essays about why you want to go into that field. And also they look at your third year and fourth year grades, but to get into the program, they don't make you write an exam typically. But every program is slightly different. Like some of them, they might want you to write some sort of assessment, but the program that I looked at, which is at Queens, they didn't have some sort of exam requirement.
Oh, so this means this is maybe a little bit easy way, to avoid people going to the medical school, take a, MCAT or the dentist school. So take the also the exam too, right? This is maybe a little bit easy way. And for the future, like people, as you said, working in the nursing home, in the hospital, they mostly can find a job, right? They are very like a consumer basis, like lots of people need those kind of the professional, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that this is what I learned from you, Selena. It's really good to hear. Of course, I know a little bit about those, aside of medical school, they still can do. But you also said kinesiology can also apply another, like a graduate school, like teacher school. I don't understand how the teacher college can apply, like from the kinesiology.
Oh, so basically, like there's different ways to become a teacher. Like some people they go into Con Ed where it's a 5-year program and they automatically get their bachelor degree and teacher's degree at once. But some people, what they choose to do is they get their bachelor degree first and then they apply directly to like a teacher's college in Ontario. And then I haven't really looked into that because I don't plan on being a teacher, but there's just like 2 different pathways. Like plenty of people, they go into kinesiology at first, they think they want to go into healthcare, but at the end they decide they would enjoy being a gym teacher better. And so they would like also apply directly to like teachers college after they get their bachelor's. But then that would also be like about a 1-year or 2-year program as well.
So you mean the kinesiology, if you go to the teacher's college, is also only the gym teacher, right? It's not the other like major.
You can also teach biology. Like in grade 12, my biology teacher like graduated from kinesiology at U of T. So like science related things like chemistry and biology as well.
Oh, that's interesting. I only know that the kinesiology can go to like a graduate school, like a teacher's college, like all the occupational care practitioner and also the physiotherapist. Anything else so you can apply after kinesiology?
So the interesting thing is in Canada for law school, basically like the only requirement, like one of the requirements is you have to have a bachelor's degree, but they don't really say like it has to be from a specific program. So sometimes like people might get their bachelor's degree that's completely unrelated to law, and then they decide to like write the LSAT or like go into law school that way. So like they mainly just look at the mark that you have in like your bachelor degree, and it doesn't have to even really be that related to law, just as long as you have the bachelor degree.
And how about do you know how about all the occupational therapists or physiotherapy? There is a difference with US school as well, or they're only like licensed in Canada?
Basically like the requirements in US are different from Canada. I remember reading about the top physical therapy or occupational therapy programs, and I noticed for some of the programs in US, they need to look at all 4 years of your grades, so from first year all the way to 4th year, but then in Canada, they only look at 3rd year and 4th year. It's same thing with high school. Like in high school, like US schools, they look at the GPA of all 4 years of your high school, but in Canada is just your 3rd year and your 4th year. And actually, it's only mainly the 4th year that really matters for high school. But for like the programs in Canada, the master programs, they mainly just look at 3rd year and 4th year of university.
Oh, this is really good advice. I only know about it now. I know the American school, they look on like a 4 like a university bachelor years, and also high school, they also 4 years they look for the GPA. But the Canadian university master degree or the graduate school, they only look like 3rd and 4th year. This is really good advice that I think some student will know if they want to stay here or they want to go to US. There is different requirement, right?
Yes, I would say I like the Canadian system better because like your first 2 years of going into high school or your first 2 years of university, you might have struggles, but like you learn from it and you can do really well in 3rd and 4th year.
Yeah, I think this is what we talk about today. I think is pretty good. And I think everybody get, if they have any question, they still can left to the WeChat and we can talk about it. But thank you, Selena, for your time and also the sharing with everyone. And I wish you good luck to your future career in the OT. Like I know the OT, right? Occupational therapist and also physiotherapist pathway. This is another way to go to the health profession. and to help the people and take care, anyone like elderly, children, everyone. So thank you so much for your
Thank you. I
time.
really enjoyed talking about it.
Yeah, so，那就是这样。如果没有什么问题呢，我们今天1个小时基本上结束了。然后后边呢，是我跟萨丽娜一起讨论的东西，就是关于学这门就是专业，它以后的将来的发展。我也希望呢，就是很多人呢已经知道了这个事情，大概都已经很清楚。如果有什么问题的话，可以在我们的那个 WeChat group 里边呢来讨论这个问题，就是在我们的那个教育专栏里边。这样的话呢，我希望呢，就是很多人呢可以不用走就是千军万马的这一条独木桥吧，就是说可以走其他的方式，也可以去进入到这个医疗方面的这个专长，来帮助更多的人。所以呢，这个今天我们非常感谢呢，萨琳娜呢今天给我们做的这个分享。我们也希望呢，就是说我刚才用英语跟他讲了，说也希望他以后呢能够成为这方面的就是说 profession，然后呢能够帮助更多的人。所以呢，今天谢谢大家。如果有什么问题的话，我们在群里再探讨。好，谢谢你，萨丽娜。
Thank you.
可以
谢谢。
下线了，好吗？拜拜。
Bye.